inside her jeans pocket. She wrapped it and put it inside her suitcase. No magic. Now, if this matter started from our forefathers, how do we think that they were going to do more than our parents? That issue I had, is it the one that is spiritual? Is it the one that is coming to snatch your husband? Is it the one that is wearing bomb shorts? Or is it even the one that's even wearing your underwear? A maid who was even with your guy. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing good and keeping safe. My name is Efe and I bring you videos that have to do with lifestyle, travel, motherhood, and everything else in between. This video today that I'm doing, even though a lot of people have talked about it, sharing your own experience is always unique to the other person. I'm going to talk about my various experiences with house helps and how I've been able to manage without one for 4 years and counting. And then I'll give you some 8 pro tips on how to survive without a house girl in Nigeria or abroad. So if this video is something that you find tickling your fancy a little or interesting you, please keep watching. Now, I grew up in a household where my mom always had house helps. We always had like multiple household. We always had like We always had like multiple house helps. There were 5 kids in my family, and my mom always had house helps and even some relatives that come by to help, giving her that support in looking after us and just basically helping out with the housework. Now, if this matter started from our forefathers, how do we think that we're going to do more than our parents? So basically, my mom used to have issues with these maids. They used to come and go. Soldier go, soldier come. We always used to switch them and change them up. But because that time I was a small child, I wasn't really keeping track of how many of them would come within what period of time. And as a child, and I'm saying this from the eyes of my kids, when a maid comes and they actually bond with that maid, when the maid goes, it's like a gap and a void. Anyway, I'm coming to that. Let me not rush my mouth. We even had house boys at some times. They will come and go. So obviously, like when I grew up, I went to uni and whatnot. At that time, we had stopped having house helps because we were older. A lot of us were even leaving the house. Not being, and I got married. I didn't know that the thing would come back to meet me. So when I got married, it was that period that the call and the cry and the need for house help now came again. So obviously I thought now, we're all older. We will even do better than what our parents did. We'll reason with them. We'll treat them better. Some people, what if they follow them come? Not be treating better. If they follow them come. So I started my search, especially when I got pregnant. I said, okay, let me get a house help. And the first few I got, to be honest, apart from one who almost blew up my microwave. This girl almost blasted the microwave. Microwave pots. Hey! You see how they come? Yes. I did a post on my hesitancy to get a house help. I'll link that video here. And then one funny person came on and put a comment that, oh, why am I talking about house girl? Why am I doing human slavery? I beg you, please. I'm not doing human day slavery. I don't wish anybody to be a maid, but some people find themselves in circumstances that have gotten them to that place. And as much as I do sympathize with them, sometimes even giving them a job would help them to bridge 1 or 2 gaps and all that. So please don't come and say I'm the one or I'm aiding and carry that one to go somewhere else. I've always been an advocate for not paying them below minimum wage, paying them properly, treating them like your family members. I don't really believe in, oh, you eat this one, they eat. Even if you're going to do all that whole separation, let whatever you're giving them be good enough for you to have. So when I had my first child, the maid fed my son wrongly, that my son rejected formula. You basically would feel that some of them are experienced, some of them are coming, especially the ones who have had kids. So unfortunately, I gave my son to her to feed. She didn't test the milk, the temperature of the milk, and unfortunately that milk burnt the small boy's mouth. So from there, the boy rejected formula, which was even good because I was still trying to see if I could formula feed him or breastfeed him. So he totally rejected it and we had to go strictly back into breast milk. Now these ones, as I said, are mild. The drama now started coming when I had my second kid. So I got this maid, very nice girl, or so I thought. The thing is, I don't really like living maids. That's just my personal preference. I prefer for them to go and come. A little bit disadvantageous sometimes, because sometimes you might have something to do. I let go of my 9 to 5 when I got pregnant with my first child. Since then, I've just more or less like been juggling my business and staying at home, looking after the children. So I didn't have a live-in. Now, live-ins are obviously very necessary for working moms who are out of the house for more hours during the day and even into the evening. This girl was very nice, as I said. She's pleasant, she works hard. I was doing my business then, and as somebody who is working from home, I'm doing my business. I'm trying to gather the money. I'm trying to save. I had found out that some girls were coming in from the UK and they were doing a hair sale. So I called my staff. My staff is a guy, but he knows, when you explain things to him, he knows how to select very well. So I told him that, listen, I won't be able to go for this sale, but he needs to go there and buy hair in bulk for me so I can resell, because they were selling it at very good prices. So he went and he got the hair, which was very impressive, because as a man, he selected very good bundles. These bundles where you actually would sell 3 bundles for a full head. So this guy brought my bundles and I counted them very well and packaged them. If you see the way I tied them, because I'm really into hair, so I tied it into like 3 bags, separated them, put them inside a bigger nylon bag, and then put it under my wardrobe, put clothes over it. It was well secured. If MI5 agents had come into my house, they wouldn't have even found it, because it was very well secured. Also, I thought, my dear had started work. In fact, she had been with me for about a couple of months at this time. One day, got a call from a client who is a friend, and she was like, oh, she wants this particular hair in this inches. So I said, yes, I will get it out to you. Confidently, carry my second baby. And so I run to the wardrobe and brought out the bag where I put the hair. Have you ever been in a situation where you put something somewhere and you can't find it? Then you ransack the whole thing. Now, it was a very, very smart thief, right? You see, and they said the market. So I know that 3 bundles is for a full hair, right? Full head. So this person did not take 3. It wasn't like 3 was missing. I was looking for 1 bundle, right? To make it 3. I couldn't find, but out of the whole hair. I scattered everywhere. I couldn't find it. I scattered my wardrobe. I couldn't find it. I went into my kids' room, checked. I knew that I did not put it there, but when I asked my husband, he was like, oh, search everywhere. Looked under the wardrobe, over the wardrobe, oops, upside everywhere. I couldn't find the hair. At this point, I was getting angry. I now walked to auntie. I said, madam, please, have you seen my hair? She said, no, she has not seen my hair. I said, gosh, okay. I now called her. I had already written down what he bought. So what I called him for was a bit stupid, because I now asked him that, please, how many hair did you buy? He now said, look, the receipt is there, and you remember that we counted it together. I said, yes, so. But I now called him in confidence and said, come, it is only 5 of us that are in this house. My little children, obviously, they cannot steal the hair. My husband doesn't even have hair, so he cannot steal that hair, right? Me, now marketer they sell, I cannot steal my own hair. So the 5th person was auntie. But auntie said she did not take the hair. So it was a case of who done it. I didn't have any proof. I had asked her in a very nice way. She said she didn't take it. My staff was upset, and he said he's going to come in the morning and he's going to shake her up and ask her and all that. By this time I was like, it was a very annoying, even though it's not such a big deal. I mean, this is my small business I'm trying to do. Next morning comes, and she came the next morning like normal. We started asking, she said no, she didn't take it, until the boy had to give her a slap. I don't believe in violence, and I don't think violence is something that should be done, but a slap now rang in the air. After that slap rang in the air, my sister started confessing that, no, before the slap rang, I had said, oh, I'm going to call the police, blah, blah, blah. So it's like she was already getting scared. This thing was escalating. So she now said, yes, I took it. I looked at my husband, because my husband was almost quarreling with me that we should stop asking her. We should stop asking her. She's innocent. I said, you see, don't be talking for people. It was shocking. I was even shocked, because the way she had been denying. Police people are trying, because that's why they have very little empathy, because they see people lie a lot. And when it comes down to it, you find out that that person is guilty of that crime. In fact, I did not believe it until I actually saw the hair. My staff now followed her She said she put it in her house. He followed her to her house, followed her inside her room and said, "Ma, if you see where she hid the hair, inside her jeans pocket, she wrapped it and put it inside her suitcase." No, Maggie. This tiff is too much. You hear a lot of people complaining about the lies they tell. You hear a lot of people complaining about the stealing that goes on. This doesn't apply to every one of them. It doesn't. And I believe the bad eggs here are giving the good ones a bad name, honestly speaking, and it makes you not trust people as wholeheartedly as you would love to, or as wholeheartedly as you naturally used to. That's just one. Another issue I had, is it the one that is spiritual? Is it the one that is coming to snatch your husband? Is it the one that is wearing bomb shorts? Or is it even the one that's even wearing your underwear? We do need help as moms, and this is where the tips I'm going to share with you are going to come handy. You'll just be like, what is going on? What are these people doing? Are they really seeing what they're doing? Are they really reasoning with how they're treating their so-called employer? There was another one I had. She was so lovely, so nice. I enjoyed that girl. She was just, how do I put it? I wouldn't even call her a house help. She was like a PA. She was just lovely. She was educated. She even used to sing bedtime stories to my kids until she did something. My tips on how you can survive without a maid. I relocated for a couple of years, and in those years I did not have a maid. So I was forced, by force or by fire, learn how to cope without a maid. But upon returning, I didn't get one. Now, the problem is, the work is a lot too. We need help, especially when you have little children. Like, I've got 3 kids, and it's not easy for you to look after these children by yourself. You're handling, going to the market, handling all the chores you have to do, cleaning of the house, looking after the kids, cooking and all that. It's a lot of work. So I do agree, and I do transcribe to the fact that yes, maids are necessary. But if you are having issues with them and you need a break, these tips I'm going to share with you would help you bridge in between having maids. So that way you take your time and select somebody who you feel a bit of connection to. That's not a guarantee, because you can't control people's actions or what people have in their minds or their intentions. I'm telling you, sometimes you'll be looking outside the window. They give you mental stress. This mental talent. HouseGate also gives us mental talent. Sometimes you'll be looking through the window. Is this person going to report for work? Sometimes you will be wondering, what is in her mind? Sometimes you will enter her. I hope he has not put something inside you. You just feel uncomfortable sometimes around them, especially when you hear some stories. Like, I used to be on a mom's group, and the stories that the ladies used to share about some of their experiences with house helps, my God, you will not even want to have any of them near you. Is it sexual abuse? Is it physical abuse? Where you would see viral videos of maids beating or flinging or throwing children as if the kids are toys, throwing them like objects, causing grievous bodily harm to innocent children that have been left in their care, and they're supposed to be in a position of looking after that child. A friend of mine sent me a news article about a maid who was even with Oga. That one is no news, but this particular one was talking about how she was with Oga, and it was one of the grounds for the wife filing for dissolution of marriage. The 8 tips I have for you to make you survive without a maid, be it for a season or a period or a maid break, as I want to call it. Number 1, cleaning regularly. Now, cleaning regularly will ensure that your home doesn't get dirty to the point where you would be overwhelmed to clean it. Every day, do a little bit of cleaning. Pick up the clothes, or pick up the toys or books or pencils that the kids have played with. Clean your kitchen every day. A little. You don't have to overwhelm yourself and clean everywhere and organize pantry. Just make sure you clean every day. Every little, as they say, helps. So when you clean every day, you have a routine. Like for me, I clean my bathroom every day. When I say every day, I do like little touches of cleaning. So that way it always remains clean, and I don't have to overwhelm myself with doing a whole bathroom haul. Every day I just clean a little. I clean a little. If you get into the habit of cleaning a little, then you find that your house is not going to be as dirty or as disorganized or as rough, where you will now feel that you need help. Number 2, not being desperate. Now, this one, guys, don't be offended, but some of us get desperate, and I'll explain to you why. I used to be very desperate when it comes to these girls. When I say desperate, you normally are able to cope without a maid, right? You now get a maid. We now tend to get and settle into a routine that helps us be more productive. You know, if you're going to work, you know that you can go to work at ease, and you know that there's somebody in your house that is able to look after things. Even if the kids are in school, the person is doing some cleaning. We sort of now get dependent on these people. Now, I don't even think it's right for us to be dependent on another person. One, we don't wish any evil on anyone, but from anything happening to them actually having genuine reasons of stopping work, to some of the lies that they've also put on why they want to stop work, is just not a good idea. So having that mental space of saying, you know what, this person is here for a season and a reason, a period of time, would help you not to be so heavily dependent. Because when you're heavily dependent and that person pulls out the plug, you now get desperate to fill up that gap. And that's where sometimes some mistakes that we could have avoided would now happen. Like I had a maid once where I was just very desperate to fill that gap. I had another maid that had gone, and I just got this girl. Now, I did not do a reference check. You need to check up on their former employers. As I said, these checks might not really help to ensure or guarantee that this person will be of good behavior in your home, but it just helps to ensure that, okay, this person is good in this area, and if there are any areas of challenges that the other employer experienced, then they'll be able to share that with you. I had a girl once where I didn't do the reference check until I started perceiving and observing some things about her. And by the time I did the reference check, she had already demoed in my house. The third one is batch cooking. Now, this batch cooking is a lifesaver, but in our work. So I discovered the beauty of batch cooking. It means you cooking well in advance. So I was speaking to an aunt of mine once, and she was like, she batch cooks for a month. And I was like, is that even possible? It's possible. What makes this possible is several things, from money to time to you being able to do the work, because it's not easy. So you just dedicate maybe a few days where you know you're going to just slam yourself. For working moms, they can schedule this over the weekend. And for moms that are at home, you can schedule it on days where you know that those 2 days are just going to be dedicated to this work I'm about to share with you. So dedicate one day where you go to the market and buy your things. Even if you're not batch cooking for a month, even if you batch cook for 2 weeks, you'll find that it will really help. Organize your ingredients that day as well if you're not too tired from the market since that day. So the next day, the work will not be too much on you. Now, the next day, you dedicate that into cooking your various soups, cooking your stews. It's just going to be a day plugged into being in the kitchen for hours on end. But I'm telling you that it actually pays off, because a lot of us do this fresh meal cooking from start. I even used to read somewhere where they said some men, they don't like, they want you to cook fresh. That one's serious. So that's where that's a slavery that they're talking about. That's where the slavery come from. I mean, if you cook and you freeze it, I don't see the problem with that. So anyway, if you cook in batches, you'll find that you have periods of time where you can be more productive in doing other things. And you know that you're just going to bring out the soup, bring out your stew, bring out your beans, allow it to thaw, warm it, and you know, all you find you're doing is just maybe making rice or making yam or pounded yam to go with your soups and all that. Tip number 4 is have a support system around you. Now, this support system doesn't actually need to be your family members. If it's your family members, it's first prize. That's something that I've always lacked. Like, my family members don't live near me, so it's always very difficult to find whose home or whose house you can go and drop your kids in and you will have your heart and your mind at ease. It is very important. So if your family members are around you, give them a hug, give them a kiss, and rely on them from time to time. Not always, from time to time. But now, if you don't have your family members around you, then you should have at least some good, trusted friends, fellow mothers, trusted friends, just a good support system that you can go and drop your kids, or you have to travel for work or anything like that. Having a support system around you would really, really help to bridge that gap. You see, they say one good turn deserves another. It's not just some people just carry their children and go and drop in somebody's house. No, when you're going to drop your kids, Always have a basket of goodies. Always have something that you take to the host who is going to look after the kids. If they have children, take something to their kids. Just basically showing your appreciation as you are dropping your kids. And I'm not saying that these gifts that you give them will make them look after them more. No, but it's good that when you take, you also give. Now, tip number 5 is teamwork makes the dream work. I'm fortunate to be married to a husband who doesn't look down on looking after his kids from time to time, and that is such a blessing. And I think more dads in today's era, we're not in the days of our fathers where people are expected to just be pounding yam after you, pounding making the pogi. It's the time where everybody really needs to chip in to look after the children, because the kids are not the woman's sole responsibility to look after. Wherever a dad can chip in, it really helps. I and my husband have been able to, he's been able to help out with 1 or 2 chores, especially when he comes back home and he's not too tired. He can help out with 1 or 2 things, which really goes a long way. And I want to give a big shout out to all the men out there who help out in taking care of their home, because it's not your wife's home, but your home as a couple. And I believe that putting hands together and working together to raise your children, and everything to do with child rearing, because raising your kids has everything to do with, from being with them, advising them, looking after them, feeding them. Now, tip number 6, let the kids chip in. Let the kids help out in whichever way they can. Like for me, my kids are growing now. My last is 6 years old, and he has even started washing his own plates. Something small like that, even though, yes, so I still need to talk 10 times before he will wash it or clean up his mess. But the older ones actually help out a lot in the mornings. They have their little chores that they do. They are able to lay their bed. They are able to fold their clothes. They are able to brush their teeth, even though I still do supervision and all that. But they're able to do some of these things by themselves, which reduces the burden. Even from a mental perspective, it reduces the burden on me. You know that these kids are able to do 1 or 2 things while you are able to focus and do 1 or 2 things as well. There was this post I saw once where it was talking about age-appropriate chores for kids. I believe that once they become 5, 6 years old, they should be able to do 1 or 2 little chores around the house. Nothing too heavy, like washing their plates, cleaning the kitchen counter if they make a mess, helping out with 1 or 2 frying of egg, of course with adult supervision, laying their bed, folding their clothes, taking out their own laundry. Don't go and give them to iron. Don't go and give them chores that are not appropriate for kids, because kids are kids and they still need a lot of supervision. Now, tip number 7 is having a cleaning lady come at different times of the week. Now, I'm going to tell you about a girl I had 4 years ago. She was one of the best I had, because I'm telling you, when we started, there was no problem. When she was with me, there was no problem. Even when I left, there was no issue. She was just a very sweet girl. Now, I'll tell you what I did recently. A month ago, I reached out to her, and she comes to me on a part-time basis to just help me do 1 or 2 cleanings here and there. She just basically comes 3 times a week to help me do 1 or 2 things, And those days that she comes, I'm able to schedule and plan on how to be more productive on those days and what chores I will give her to do. And it has really worked out well for me. So get a cleaning lady who comes every once in a while to help you do some heavy cleaning that you might not be able to factor into your everyday cleaning. It really, really helps to move that process along. It really helps to keep your home clean, organized, and sanitized. Now, tip number 8 is something that I've struggled with. Let go of perfection. Stop being a perfectionist. Your house does not have to look spick and span. No, your house is a real household. It is not the household that you see in Real Housewives of Atlanta. It's not going to look like maybe your neighbor's house who might have 2 or 3 maids that are marching on her orders. Try not to do too much. Like, I had a neighbor once who would tell me that I do too much on a daily basis. Like, sometimes she would want me to come and gist with her, but I'm working. Tuesday, she would want me to come and gist with her, I'm working. Wednesday, she would want me to come and gist with her, I'm working. So she was like, why is it that you're always working? So she would encourage me that, don't pack too much in one day. Do a little and rest a little. There's so much that goes on in our lives that we don't actually rest enough, or we don't actually take time out to evaluate our mental health or evaluate how fatigued out we might be. So do what you can. It is so important to do what you can and leave the rest for tomorrow. So if there's any other tips that I did not cover, please, ladies, do me a favor. Let that comment section be where we're going to engage and where we're going to talk about even more tips on how to survive without a house help. Now, until I come your way again, it's me, FA, signing off and out. Take care of yourself.